Hello and welcome to the week one go to training. Thanks everybody for showing up. Everyone who's here live. It makes it a lot more fun for me, and hopefully fun for you to be here live. Our chat box that we have is only here for the live session. So if you're listening to this in the recording and you're wondering who I keep talking back and forth to, I have a chat box with everyone who's here live, so I'm kind of going back and forth with them. Hopefully next time you can be here live with us, but great. So we're going to talk a little bit about history and play personality, as well as talk just a little bit about some of our assignments. We're going to talk about types of play, patterns of play, and we're going to compare the different play personalities. Types of play, patterns of play, and play personalities are all going to kind of come up in your team activities. So please, be aware of that and be thinking about that as you're moving forward on that assignment. So just kind of as a poll for the class, do we think play is valuable? And you can feel free to type in the chat box. If anyone wants, you can actually raise your hand. I don't know if you can see the hand raise button. It's just like a little picture of a hand. Oliver says absolutely. That's good. That's what my hope is for everyone. All right, Gary, I'm going to unmute you. Are you there, Gary?
Yeah.
Hey. So what do you think about?
Can you hear me now?
I sure can. Yeah. What do you think about play being valuable?
Um, it definitely is valuable, in the sense of it gives us time to kind of relax and kind of reset ourselves, um, and it gives us a chance to basically break away from like the work and the mundane. When your brain's feeling fried, it's good to go and shoot some hoops or play a video game for like an hour, or whatever it is that you enjoy doing, because it's a good refresher. And a lot of times you'll find when you come back from that activity, you study 10 times better and you retain the knowledge a lot better.
Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better explanation. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. All right, Delroy, I see you raised your hand as well. What do you have to say on play being valuable?
Wait, can you guys hear me?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, can you hear me?
I sure can. Yeah.
Yeah, I find play as valuable because when I first got over here to like Orlando, I was kind of like, I guess you could say, stressed out because I was thinking, oh, the program's gonna be kind of hard. It's accelerated. I'll be like focusing 24/7. And then when we talked about the whole play thing, it was kind of like hey, I can take a step back from doing all the work and kind of like do me in a sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Of course.
And I'm sure everyone kind of has some anxiety, moving through the program. I know it's overwhelming for a lot of people. I had that, when I was in school. I saw people and I said, oh, how are these people doing this? And then I kind of remembered, there are just a wealth of people who've been through these programs before you, who've faced the same challenges, who've overcome them, and who've made successful careers in their industries. Um, I know in February we actually have our annual Hall of Fame, so I would encourage everyone to kind of think about that. If you need to get if you need some encouragement every now and then, just think about the people who've kind of been on this path before you. A lot of times things seem insurmountable. They seem like, oh, how do I ever get through this project? I remember doing that in graduate school, being like, oh, these giant papers I have to write, and how am I ever going to get through this? And just thinking, you know what, hundreds or thousands of people have been through this before me and they got through it, so I can probably get through it too. uh I see your hand is up. Janice? Janice.
Denise,
Janice.
actually, but hello. So I have a question about one of the things I was reading yesterday,
Uh huh.
and it asked me how the games I used to play when I was a child, how do they relate to my adult life.
Uh-huh.
And one of the games I love most is hide and seek. So I didn't really know how that relates to my adult life.
Sure. I think it can be a lot of different things. What program are you in?
Creative writing.
Creative writing. So I think that I mean, and this is just a for instance, but the whole idea of narrative in hide and seek. You were hiding. Maybe you made up stories in your mind about who you were or who the people chasing you were. Um, or just the element of surprise. You like kind of the exhilaration of of hiding and then knowing that someone's after you. That plays really well into a story. If you think about almost any kind of thriller type story or movie, there's chase scene, there's someone's having to hide from someone else, there's some government agency is after the hero or whatever the case may be. So that's a for instance. I can't say that that's exactly what it is, but that's kind of how I would think about that as far as how they're related. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, of course. Happy to answer. Um, okay, so we've established that play is valuable. That I think just kind of everyone hands down is hopefully on board with. We'll kind of throughout the month illustrate the importance of play. Um, we have several types of play that we're going to be talking about. Let me just check. Sorry. Um, Types of play, and we'll go into this again in lecture. So if you're not, if it's not 100% right now, we will continue talking about this. But I just wanted to get this out there before everyone went on break, so that way, we've got a little bit more material covered. But we have types of play. So unoccupied play, it's kind of the whole idea of sitting and daydreaming. You can sit in a park and stare off and look at the clouds, and you don't necessarily have to be doing anything, but you can still enjoy yourself. It can still be fun. It can still be play. Onlooker play, similar to unoccupied, except for you're essentially enjoying what other people are doing. Maybe you see a group of kids and they're all playing a game, and it's just fun for you to watch. I know for me, a lot of times I've watched my friends play video games. And actually, my wife watched me play The Last of Us, which is beautiful and cinematic, and is actually kind of a fun game to watch someone else play. Um, it's really cool, and I'm not just making plugs for games, but I liked the game a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it is. It's also a lot of fun to watch. So, um, associative play, kind of play that makes other associations that we have. Um, that's not a great explanation. I apologize for that. Um, uh, I will get I'll get back to that in class. My apologies. I'm having a little mental. I'm having a brain fart. Solitary play is just what it sounds like. If you're familiar with solitaire, being able to sit and play by yourself. Kind of sitting and enjoying a game. Um, a lot of times you can physically play the game solitaire. You can do any sort of thing, but right, it's gameplay that doesn't necessarily or play that doesn't necessarily have to involve anyone else. Uh, Parallel play is kind of side by side. You can be seeing someone playing. You can be playing at the same time, but not necessarily an interactive type of play. And then cooperative play, which I feel like everyone immediately associates, with a co-op video game. That is exactly cooperative play, but as is, almost any other type of play where we're playing with one another, trying to achieve the same goal. Team sports, while they're competitive, you're also cooperating with your team. So several types of play there. Patterns of play. Uh, would reading a book be more unoccupied or solitary play? You just zone out. I would say it's solitary. because you are occupied, you're reading a book, you're doing something. Red light, green light was your favorite. Yeah, that's a fun one. Um, unless your team are trolls, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So different patterns of play. I like to think about this, and the way that we relate to this in our campus lecture is almost from a birth through adulthood. Attunement play is essentially it's all fresh in my head because I have two little babies, but just getting attuned with someone else, getting them recognizing you and seeing you, kind of just figuring out, making that initial bond. When someone, when a baby, looks at you and they start to smile and they get excited and they say, "Oh, this is my parent. This is my, whoever." They hopefully know who I am. But right, they're kind of making those initial human connections, which continues on throughout life. A lot of times you'll see someone, you'll make eye contact, you'll smile. You're acknowledging other people's presence, and it sometimes is it's fun. You can be nice and pleasant and say hello without necessarily having to say hello. Body play and movement. Again, you think about children, you think about a kid discovering, their arms and legs, which to all of us, as adults, it doesn't seem that exciting. But I can tell you, having small children, it's pretty adorable watching kids figure out, how their hands work and how their feet work, and they keep, oh look, I found my feet, and what can I do with them? And yeah, it's pretty interesting for them. Object play, again, you look at a small child and you give them an object for the first time, and they, my kids are flailing around and sometimes hitting each other, but they like figuring out what objects do. That I had take care of your baby brother, and yeah, it's pretty adorable. Yeah, kids put everything in their mouth. It's kind of terrifying, but they do. Legos are the worst for stepping on or for children eating. I believe that. Or until kids break stuff. Yeah. So object play, I think everyone kind of gets. Just kind of figuring out what objects do, figuring out, think about a baby, and my kids have like a little play gym with all these swinging toys that kind of hang down, and it's like a physics lesson almost. And obviously the kids don't understand how physics works, but they're getting, the principles of physics. They're seeing them at work in front of them. So social play, when we start interacting with one another, it's interesting having I have twin boys, so they're social with one another, and our doctors have actually said, hey, they might be a little bit slower with language because they end up talking to one another in their twin language. So kind of be prepared for if the kids aren't talking to you as much, they're talking to one another more. Don't be too surprised. So, but right, eventually we all develop some sort of socialization. We enjoy, humans are a social species. We like to interact with one another. It's really important for our societies and for our individual well-being. Imaginative and pretend play, again, you think about it starts in childhood when you imagine a situation, something that you've contrived, some imaginary scenario that you're in, or pretending to be something else. Everyone was cops and robbers or teachers or playing house. Never had an imaginary friend. That's okay. I don't know that everyone has imaginary friends. I don't think it's but again, I'm sure you can imagine situations, or you pretended at some point. You pretended to be something. Yeah, of course. I think everyone likes to do that. Gary, you told yourself stories out loud. Sure, yeah, that's fun. You make up stories as you go along. Children are pretty creative, and it's pretty interesting to sit and watch them and hear the storytelling that they can do. Storytelling and narrative play kind of is the next natural step after pretend play. You fell in love with Alice in Wonderland. Absolutely, it's a super fun story. William, you're making me laugh. You were ignored, so maybe you're the imaginary friend. Um, But right, storytelling, narrative play, it's the natural transition. We pretend to be something else, and then we make up a story and a narrative, and I'm a police officer, and these are the bank robbers, or this is the person who lost their puppy, and I have to go find it. Whatever story we decide to make up and tell ourselves, um, and it obviously it that carries on. Imaginative and storytelling, narrative style of play carries on into adulthood. You think about authors, or game designers, people who need to make stories up to make a game fun or make a book interesting. Um, yeah, I think a lot of times the imaginative play is probably one of the pervasive things throughout our lives. Storytelling is exactly like, yeah, role playing is the exact same thing, Delroy. Yeah, so creative writers, yeah, all of those things kind of fall into the imaginative pretend play, or the storytelling and narrative play. Then we have the kind of the last one, which some people will say is the peak, the transformative, integrative, and creative play. Um, kind of when something becomes transformative, and that's different for everyone. A lot of times, people will look at music. People who are composing music and who love their form and their craft, and they kind of throw themselves and dedicate themselves into it. Um, so transformative is kind of you're so drawn in and you become your craft, whatever that is. The easiest thing I can think of is you look at it like a musician, and they've basically they've funneled and channeled themselves completely into their music and their craft until that's just like the main pervasive theme in their life. Yeah, when you put your heart and soul into something, and it's really yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've perfected your craft. And I sure it could be acting. It could be that as well. It can be kind of all sorts of different things. It can fall into a lot of different categories. But yeah, acting, music. It's not to say other art forms don't have the same thing, or other play types. But chances are you're not having transformative experience playing hide and go seek, which is kind of the difference. Usually the creative side of it, I think, is what makes it transformative for people. Is when you can really throw yourself 100% into something that's transformative for you, and know that kind of carries on, and you can put everything you have into one piece, and move forward with that. And again, we'll talk about these things as we move forward. Oh, here we go. We have excellent pictures, representations of all of those different play patterns. We just went through all these, so I think everyone has kind of an idea of what those look like. These are the play personalities, which are really important because it comes up and it's something that we talk about in our team activity. The Joker, just what it sounds like, having a good time, laughing, sometimes playing pranks on other people. Um, I think this is an interesting play personality. I think sometimes people can get mean with it, but a lot of times, right? People are good-hearted, and that's really that's the time I think it's the most fun. I don't know if anyone ever watched The Office, but I was a big fan of the Jim and Dwight kind of antics. The jokes that Jim would play on Dwight, I really enjoyed a lot. The kinesthete is kind of someone who plays through body movements. A dancer, or you. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're definitely several of these. To answer that question, um, so it can be yeah, definitely. A lot of times different play activities take on different play personalities, and a lot of people, right, they fall into different categories. Yeah, you find yourself as the kinesthete and storyteller. Sure, absolutely. A lot of times there's crossovers. But right, we can moving on. You have the explorer, someone who's always looking for the next new adventure. And they don't all have to be, exactly explorer. You don't all have to be Indiana Jones. Sometimes it can be exploring through storytelling. So it can be kind of two play personalities. You have your competitor, which is traditionally more, sports and, kind of competitive activities. Not necessarily always those things. Some people are competitive in all that they do. Um, yeah, it is. There's a lot of similarities and crossover with some of the Myers-Briggs stuff. Um, and right, you can again be in a lot of different categories. Can it be like finding new music. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yes. Um, yeah, more of an explorer and storyteller. Definitely, those kind of tend to go hand in hand a lot of times. Then we have the director, which sometimes is just what it sounds like. You want to direct film, but sometimes you want to direct other things, or maybe you like to. When I was a kid, I liked to set my toys up in pretty like elaborate ways, but I didn't necessarily like to then go pick them up and make them hit each other or do whatever I wanted. I'd set up all my little scenes because I like how they looked, but I didn't really want to do much with them after that. So I like to direct this the overall theme of it. We have the collector, yeah, like with Legos, exactly. The collector who is just what it sounds like, tends to collect things. We'll talk about that one in class. I always like to hear what collections people's what collections people have because there's always something pretty sometimes hoarders. Yeah. Um, the artist creator is what it sounds like, and a lot of people fall into that category as well. And right, there's crossover between everything. But right, the artist creator, you like to build, you like to create, you like to develop, you like to do new things. And then storytellers. Storytelling is your your main thing. You really enjoy it. I love listening to storytellers. I'm a big fan of. There's a couple of storytelling podcasts I really like. So I love hearing storytellers who are really great at their craft tell stories. So that's there's a flip side to all of these, but I definitely like that. Yeah, no, I'll be happy to share links to some of the podcasts I like. I'll probably do it after the break, but one of them is The Moth. I like MOTH, themoth.org is one of my favorite storytelling podcasts. So definitely check it out. Um, Great storytellers make an experience more worthwhile. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So some of the importance of play as an adult, which I think that we've kind of been through these things. We talked about them at the beginning. Telling stories is something that you love, crave, making people feel how you feel. Yeah, absolutely. It's super rewarding when you can transform someone, bring them into your world, tell them a story that really transports them. It's amazing, and it's I love being captivated by a great storyteller. I have some friends who are really great storytellers, and it's amazing. I'll just sit and listen to them for hours because right, they can transform it. They can bring me into their world. Um, so the importance of play as an adult definitely gonna be an increased happiness. We're happier, we're having more fun, we get more dopamine in our bodies. It's a good time. The elevation of productivity and innovation, I think, comes a lot from when you have it's like we said earlier, when we're working on something and we take a step back and we maybe go play for a little while and we come back to it. We kind of have rerouted our course of thinking. We've said I kept hitting a brick wall with this one way of thinking, and now I've kind of transformed them onto a different way of thinking. So it can be, it can definitely end up giving us a lot more productivity if we're up against a block, and help us with innovation. Think of new ways to look at things. The human connection is obviously one of the biggest parts for a lot of people. A lot of times, I think about back in high school. I joined the rowing team. We rowed boats, which is boring. Uh, I'm just like, well, we rowed boats in high school and we ran a lot. But I really liked hanging out with my friends. That's why I joined the team. It didn't have anything really to do with the fact that I wanted to row a boat. Right. It just had everything to do with that I wanted to spend time with my friends. I wanted to be connected to my buddies. and they were on the team. So I said, well, I'll go be on the team too because I like spending time with them, and that's what I want to do with my free time. So the connection is for a lot of people is what's more important than the play. Again, creativity, flexibility, and learning. Uh, that's definitely one of the big parts. When we play, we essentially, you learn. You think about play as a child and some of the things that we did. Um, I know for me, I learned a lot as a child from my play. That was one of the big things for me. Are we back? Everybody? Sorry, I think we may have had an issue there briefly. Okay, it sounds like we're back on. My apologies for that. It must have been a weird hiccup. Um, but right, so the whole promotes creativity, flexibility, and learning. You think about all the things you did as a child. Solar flares, yeah. Um, so much of your play as a child is a learning experience. You think about just think about skipping stones on a pond, which seems kids get bored and throw rocks in the water, but then you think about what you're actually if you stop and you take the time, you say, oh, why does this happen? So much of our play is it's fun to do, but why is it? What does it mean? You fell in the water. You should you should have been more careful then. Yeah, I hope you were all right. I mean, clearly you're here now, so it couldn't have been too bad. Um, but right, skipping stones is essentially learning physics. Just no one's there explaining the physics part of it to you. I'm a really big fan of the YouTube channel Smarter Every Day, which is a lot of fun. It's a guy, and he talks. He basically you learn things, but a lot of it is kind of play and fun, and it's a good time, and you're also learning a lot of things. So we can learn through our play definitely. And small amounts of play do a lot of good for us. I think that as kids, we play a lot, and as adults, we kind of play less and less. But I think it's important to keep those pockets of play in our life. I know for me, there's a couple of games I really, really like to play. They're kind of silly and they're kind of, not, they're not getting anything out of it. It's not, but it's a nice little break. Sometimes, I need to say, hey, I won't need 10 minutes to kind of let my eyes, deglaze and look at something else for a little while. So I think that having small pockets of play in our day to day life, especially in the middle of big projects when I'm doing like a lot of work. Every now and then I say I need a breather and I just need to take 10 minutes, recharge, and come back to it. And I'm refreshed and I usually feel a lot better after it. And I can work a lot harder then. So as far as looking at play in our own lives, it seems like everyone's fairly on board about how we think about play, how we relate to it. So that's good. Like we were talking about earlier at the beginning. Oh no, can people not hear me? Some people can. Okay. We're back. Okay, my apologies. Um, a play history. That's one of the big things that I think a lot of people would benefit from. Think about your play as a child and think about how that could possibly be related to, the field you're in or the field you want to go into. I think it's really important, and you'll learn a lot from that, more than I ever would have imagined. There's just hopscotch is just the picture in the background. I don't know. Think about the things you really enjoyed though as a child and how they're maybe related now to what you're doing with your life, what you're doing career wise, what you want to be doing. Um, Being around people who are playful is a great way to do it. This our group here is fantastic. I know everyone's having a good time, and it makes learning more fun. It's when you're all engaged and involved. My job is a lot easier. It's a million times more easy for me to sit on this end and say, hey, have this engaged group. They're having a lot of fun. They're joking around a little bit, which is great. I want people to be engaged and I want people to have fun. So it makes it a much better time for me than if I'm just sitting and lecturing to a deadpan class who's all just glassy eyed staring at me. just it took me forever to figure out this was for me. You were nervous, how you're supposed to feel. You're scared to follow your dreams. Yeah, absolutely. Um, it's tough. It's really tough, to say, hey, this is what I want to do with my life, and how I want to spend my time. It's definitely, it can be very scary. But being in a group with people who will encourage you to play and kind of encourage you to, to continue to follow your dreams, be creative. It's really nice to have that. Being around little ones, I same thing for me with small children, is like the we have to play. If I'm not picking up little ones and having a good time with them, a lot of times they're having a really bad time. So we play a good amount, but it's definitely fun. But right, being around little kids is a great way to kind of come back to check yourself on play and say, how much are these kids playing? How much am I playing? Maybe I should be a little bit more like them every now and again. Um, yes, some people. I'm sorry. I'm going back to the chat box. A lot of people told us, yeah, right. Told people that following their dreams might not have worked. Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate, and I think I can't say what everyone's parents thought or what everyone's parents, felt, but my hope is that everyone's parents wanted the best for them, and maybe they just didn't understand, that there were, that the fields that we're pursuing are, legitimate fields in the world. So hopefully everyone has the opportunity to go back and say, hey, look, I've been able to succeed in, following my ambitions, my dreams, and the things that I love. So that's my hope for all of you. To sum everything up, we talked about the types of play, the play personalities, patterns of play, and why it's important to play as an adult. Um, totally, yeah. Sometimes the safe job is, yeah. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. That at the end of the day is what it is. Um, Lewis, yeah, you have a good point there about if you don't go for it, you can never kind of go back to those people and say, hey, look, I was successful in this field. Um, yeah, my dad was a banker. I'm sure he would have loved to see me have gone into banking, but it's my heart's not in that. That's not what I wanted to do. So I followed the things I was passionate about, and it led me here, and I'm pretty happy with my choices at this point. So, um, no, your family wants you to be happy. That's awesome. Um, it seems weird to them. I can get that. If they're not artistic, definitely. Corporate jobs, yeah, they're not for everyone. I totally agree. You worked in a restaurant, now you're doing show pro. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing what you love too. It's pretty important. I think that's at the end of the day what's important for everyone is to be doing what they love to do. Um, okay, so that is the end of our presentation for today. If you have more questions, feel free to you can put them out now. I'm glad. I really like having everybody here. It's a lot more fun for me when I have an interactive group. So, this was Callan too short. Yeah. I try to usually keep these not too long. I know everyone has stuff they need to do. They have good stuff, and we're going to talk about all this in class. So don't worry, you're not missing out on anything. We're going to go a little bit deeper in class. Definitely, we'll be talking about all this more. So don't worry about that. Better than online type school. Cool. Well, I'm glad. I want everybody to have a good time. I really do. Um, we'll get deeper into this in class next Tuesday. I think is our next meeting. I did want to really quick just go over the assignments that we have for this month, stuff that's coming up. Sorry, I'm looking at my screens on my end. Um, the main things to do. we'll have our discussion post, which we'll be doing. Those are due. Discussion posts and the responses are due on Monday. That's fine. William, don't worry about that. You're here now. That's what's important. Everyone on the play demonstration, I think I may not have been. The directions might not be as clear as we want them to be. It's for attendance credit, and I know it's the one where you're supposed to put, take a photo of yourself in a play activity and then describe it briefly. Briefly is probably not the best term to use in that. I would like to see at least one paragraph. It's worth 2 hours of attendance. So, I want to know that it's something that, we put a little bit of time and thought and effort into. And if you want to talk about the play personalities, I would definitely say, Calvin, to do the readings first and then do the rest of the activities. It will make your life a lot easier. Oliver, if you did two 2 sentence paragraphs, 8 cents. So yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. You're right on track with where I want you to be. I want for everybody just at least a paragraph. So something kind of explaining what you're doing. If you take a picture and you say, I played basketball. That is not enough. I want to know more about it and have you go a little bit more in depth. So, but yeah, I just wanted to make that clear for everybody. So that's that. The check-ins, the little quizzes. Make sure you get those readings done before you do them. And then the team activity, which we talked about yesterday, we met in our groups. That, again, is not due until the 4th. So if you got parts of that done, awesome. If each group member is doing a little part of it while they're, maybe away for the holidays and you are going to come back and bring it all together in one cohesive document, that's great. However you want to do it, I look forward to seeing with what everyone kind of comes back with. If you have any questions about the discussion, the activity 1.5, the discussion board, definitely check out the how to format the initial discussion post. That is, I've referred a couple people to that so far. It's there. It'll show you how to do all the formatting stuff. But yeah, that's most of what I wanted to cover today. So you're all dismissed. I will see everyone on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we'll all get together. I hope everyone has a fun and safe Thanksgiving. And I look forward to seeing you all when you're back. Yeah. All right. It was great having everybody here. Yeah, feel free. Jump in with questions. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Does every member have to be in every picture? No. No, it cannot. Yes, it can be staggered out. A couple of them show that everyone needs to be in the picture for this one, but no. Otherwise, not everyone has to be in every picture. You don't fully understand citing. For my class, you should not need to use citations, assuming that you're submitting your own photos for things. You can touch base with the Writing Center. I know one of my very good friends runs the Writing Center, so feel free to email the Writing Center, and they would be able to clear that up for you. Like how exactly you want us to do that. You will not need to cite anything for my class. There are no citations necessary. Oliver put a cite fast, which is, I'm going to save that link because that sounds like something I could be interested in. But yeah, we're good for our class. Your other class may require some citations. I don't know off the top of my head. Got you through high school. Cool, Oliver. Thanks for sharing it. I know citations were always difficult for me, so I really appreciate that we that I had a hard time with citations in grad school even. So cool. All right, wonderful. Any other questions? Quick question. What happened if your group are missing 2 people and they never showed up? just go about doing your project. Maybe message them on the FSO platform. Find them in the class and then shoot them a message real quick and just say, hey, we're in this group together. Let's get together before this deadline hits, the December 4th deadline. That's probably what I would do. Is just message them through the FSO platform. This will be posted in the. Sorry, I'm thinking. In the activity that just says "Go to Training." The live lecture, let me tell you what it's actually called. Activity 1.2, Go to Training Session, and it says attendance next to it. There'll be, I'll post a link to it in there, and it'll be a YouTube video. And Lewis, again, we're going to go through all this stuff again in class, so don't worry if you miss something. What activity was due today, if any? Originally, we did have an activity that was due today. I changed the deadline because of some internal stuff here at Full Sail. We have technically nothing can be due tonight because after 1 o'clock we're all free. So technically nothing is due. If you want to do the E3 assessment, the very first activity, Essentials E3 pre-assessment, you can do that. But that's it. Yes, when you leave this, just click I've completed this on the activity. Just say I've completed this assignment, and you'll be good to go. You couldn't see the date. Oh yeah, no, you're good. We changed it. Yeah, thanks for asking, Calvin. Appreciate it. Any other questions? Yeah, it did. It said it was due tonight. I changed it because how our internal policies work. So I just made it through the 28th, which is next Monday. So yeah, Monday. And if you all have any other questions over the break, email me. I'm happy to message me through FSO or shoot me an email, whatever makes you happy. I'll be checking my email, pretty regularly, probably at least once a day, or every other day. So feel free, shoot me an email. I'll be checking them over the course of the break. So I'd be happy to hear from everybody. Yep. Have a good one.